Hello friends, now we'll start with our lecture 2 with topic segments of environment and various interactive reactions that occur between them. The learning objective of today's session will be to study what is the segments of environment, and further we'll study each segment in detail, that is the atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere and biosphere. Now what is meant by segments of environment? The environment is the surrounding in which living and non-living things live, interact and grow or perish. So our surrounding can be also called as environment. This environment has different components or different segments that are formed by according to different conditions. These four major components are lithosphere, that is our land, hydrosphere, that is water bodies, atmosphere, that is the mixture of gases surrounding the earth, and last is biosphere, that means all living organism that survive depending on the above three components, that is lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. So atmosphere means it consists of mixture of gases. Second is the hydrosphere. When earth was formed, at that time the atmosphere was formed surrounding the earth. Then afterwards the hydrosphere was formed due to heavy rainfall for millions of years. Next is the lithosphere, which was formed due to volcanic eruption, which was solidified and due to which the crust of earth was formed, solid crust, that is lithosphere. And when these three came into existence on earth, it was responsible to form the biosphere, that is the living organism, that is plant or animals. First, talking about atmosphere, the atmosphere is a protective blanket of gases which is surrounding the earth. This atmospheric blanket protects the earth from the outer space, that is from the high temperature of sun which comes to the earth. The atmosphere have different gases which absorbs those radiation, that is UV radiation coming from the sun, and the harmful radiations are absorbed and only the useful radiations are given to the earth in the form of short wave radiation, and thus after absorbing these radiations the earth re-emit the radiations back to the sun, that is in the form of long wave radiation. In this atmosphere, the major two gases, that is carbon dioxide and oxygen, are responsible mainly for the survival of living organism. That is, carbon dioxide is absorbed by the plants and it is responsible for the process of photosynthesis, and they release the oxygen. Accordingly, this oxygen is absorbed by the living organism, which helps for their metabolic activities. According to NASA, Earth atmosphere includes different mixture of gases. That is, the major gas present is nitrogen, that is 78.08%. Second comes the oxygen, which is about 20.94%. Further comes the argon, which is 0.93%. Then fourth one is carbon dioxide, that is 0.037%, but now due to global warming and climate change, carbon dioxide level has been increased. It could reach up to 0.04%. Next comes the neon, helium, methane and krypton that is present in some trace values. So here you can see that this mixture of gases, nitrogen is present in the major form and the second is oxygen. Then further, after the mixture of gases, that is in atmosphere, the atmosphere surrounding the earth is classified into different layers or different strata. The first is the troposphere. So troposphere is the layer that is very close to the earth, that is it reaches up to 7 to 20 kilometer thick layers of troposphere where human beings can survive. The air near to the earth crust is warmer, that is near to the ground, but as you go up in the troposphere you can feel very cold temperature, that is the temperature get reduces as we go at the high altitude in troposphere. This second layer or second strata is the stratosphere. This stratosphere and troposphere is divided by the layer called as tropopause. So first from the ground is troposphere, then the layer comes the imaginary layer comes the tropopause, and then from it the stratosphere is started. It is extended up to 50 kilometer from the ground. The main characteristic of stratosphere is the presence of ozone gas that acts as a blanket in which the harmful UV radiations coming from the sun is absorbed in the ozone, that is O3, and accordingly the useful radiations can reach up to the earth. So this is the characteristics of stratosphere. The next fourth layer is the mesosphere that extends up to 85 kilometer from the ground. The mesosphere and stratosphere is classified by stratopause. The layer is imaginary layer is called as stratopause. So as in troposphere, as we go higher the temperature gets cooler, but when we go in stratosphere accordingly again the temperature get increased as we go higher, and again further in mesosphere the temperature is reduced same like troposphere. So this increasing and decreasing of temperature according to the altitude is called as lapse rate. Continuous change in temperature according to the altitude is called as lapse rate. So in mesosphere we can see the reduction in temperature. The last layer is thermosphere. It is extended up to 500 to 1000 kilometer, in which we can see different types of rockets, satellites that are placed in the thermosphere, and further which, and after thermosphere there is the layer or there is exosphere, that means whole universe can be covered in the exosphere. So there are four major layers which we have to study, that is first is the troposphere where we can survive, and as we go higher in troposphere there is reduction in temperature. Next is the stratosphere. In this stratosphere we can see that there are ozone gas present in the stratosphere. Further in mesosphere there are different meteoroids and all can be observed in mesosphere, where temperature again as we go high it gets reduced. And the last layer is thermosphere, where the satellites are placed and the temperature here is increased and it reaches very high where we can't, human beings can't survive, and the layer above thermosphere is the exosphere. So this is the overall explanation of stratas that are involved in atmosphere above the ground of the earth. Next is hydrosphere, that means all water body or water that is present in all form, that is inland water body and oceans and in the glaciers at the poles, cover all hydrosphere on the earth. So hydrosphere is a collective term given to all forms of water on the earth. So water can be stored in oceans, seas, rivers, lakes, stream, reservoirs, glaciers, and in the form of groundwater. In total hydrosphere, 100% of hydrosphere, only 1% of fresh water is stored in the form of river, lake, stream and groundwater that is easily available for the human consumption and other uses. So as we can see that if there is total water or hydrosphere on the earth, out of which only 2.8% is fresh water, but it covers different glaciers, it is stored in different glaciers, and out of which only this groundwater, river water is easily available for the human beings for their consumption. Next is the lithosphere, that is the solid part of earth's crust upper part of earth, which is called as crust, on which human beings can survive. The crust is divided into continental crust and oceanic crust. So talking furtherly, we can see that this is the lithosphere, in which there is the lithosphere has solid and outer part of the earth, which is called as lithosphere, and the portion below the lithosphere is the mantle and the inner core, or the core part. So the portion at the center of the earth is called as core, where different radioactive nuclei are situated. Above that there are liquid portion which consist of different molten magma. That part is called as mantle, and above that the solid portion is called as crust, or it is also called as lithosphere. This outer part, or the part above the mantle, which is called as crust, is divided into two parts, that is continental crust and oceanic crust. So the hard portion which is below the water body is called as oceanic crust, and the part which is parallel to the oceans or parallel to the water body where human beings survive is called as continental crust. Now, talking about the biosphere, last segment is the biosphere. So biosphere involves like this all the insects, plants, algae, and other animals, protozoa, fungi, all these things are involved, and also human beings are involved in the biosphere. So biosphere refer to the realm of living organism and their interactions with the environment. Interaction with the environment, so here the environment involves the earlier segments, that is atmosphere, hydrosphere and lithosphere. The biosphere is a very large and complex and is divided into smaller units called as ecosystem. So when we study the components of biosphere, here you can see that only one organism, when they combine together, is called as a population. Then comes the species, then comes the community. When all communities interact with the abiotic factor in a particular area, that area forms the ecosystem, which further forms a major biome, and this biomes, there are different biome in the world, they togetherly formed the biosphere of the earth. Plants, animals and microorganisms that live in different zones along with physical factors such as soil, water and air constitute an ecosystem, and this ecosystem shows different relationship with the living organism. That is, one is individual, then comes the population. This different type of species together forms the population. Then when different species population come together in a particular area, that is called as community. A community which is situated in water or on land anywhere forms a particular ecosystem. When different ecosystems come together, they form a biome. This biome togetherly forms the biosphere on the earth. So this is a short study of biosphere. So now here we have completed the different segments of environment. We have studied what is mean by segments of environment, in which first we have studied the atmosphere part, that is we have seen different concentrations of atmospheric gases. Then we have studied different layers of atmosphere. Further, we have studied in detail what do you mean by hydrosphere, what are the parts of hydrosphere and how it is classified in a percentage. Next, we have studied the lithosphere, what is the layers of earth and how lithosphere or earth's crust is formed, and it is divided into continental crust and oceanic crust. And in the last part we have studied the biosphere, in which how biosphere is classified into population, community, ecosystem and a biome. Thank you.